Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Bitrix24 Partners podcast. My name is Vlad, and today we will be covering a very interesting partner, our partner all the way from South Africa, OptimaBSC. Now, please welcome our partner, Grant Kerr. Hello, Grant.
Hi there. I'm pleased to be online with you, Vlad.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm very happy that you're able to join us today. I'm sure you've seen some of our content before, but basically what we want to do is just cover your company, what you do, and basically how you get clients and how you're moving with Bitrix24 and being a Bitrix24 partner. How does that sound?
No, that sounds brilliant. Really, let's go for it.
Wonderful, wonderful. So just to kick things off today, can you just tell us what you do, what you specialize, and how you do it?
Okay. So the company is a Bitrix24 partner and a specialist. So I think it's important enough to focus on the product, know it well, and deliver it properly to clients. So we don't tend to get distracted with things outside of that space. Obviously, the focus is on cloud and cloud clients. Most of the interaction is done online. I mean, I work with all my clients online. So whether it's within my local geography or within the broader country or even cross-border, it's all sort of online interaction with clients across various industries and sectors.
Wonderful, wonderful. And then also, we were talking a little bit before, like you said, you do specialize in a little bit of automation. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how you do work with that with your clients and how that helps them out?
Okay, yeah, of course I will. So yeah, I suppose it's come out of a bit of my previous level of experience is using process optimization and automation to help get efficiencies with clients. You can pick up quite quickly if a client needs automation. I mean, either they tell you explicitly, which is the easy one, or you can pick up the indirect comments of, we need to do things quicker and whatever. I really like to try and help clients get rid of that mundane and tedious work so that they can actually speed stuff up and usually reduce errors in it as well. So yeah, I try and use Bitrix as a platform, which is great, using its automation to speed up their processes and make it more efficient.
And that's wonderful, and something you just covered right there, the level of automation, right? How do you actually know when a certain client is ready for a certain level of automation, especially in today's maybe day and age when everyone kind of sees AI, they see automation, they kind of want to jump into it. How do you really know when a client is ready to make that jump and to really do it effectively?
Well, I mean, as I said, sometimes the client is explicit about wanting it. Other times they don't know they want it sort of consciously, but they'll say things that, lead you into that they need automation. I think the other thing that's important that sometimes, you need to look at is the client's ability or capability to implement automation. Whether they're aware of it or not, you need a level of resource, whether it's skilled or financial, to implement the automation and maintain it. So I also look at a client's readiness where that's concerned as to whether they should implement automation or not. Sometimes you need a bit of a technical resource to maintain automation within the organization over the medium and long term. So evaluate that and then help the client get it in place if they don't. Sometimes they outsource it to a Bitrix partner, which is, a great thing. We can help the client get that automation in place.
Sure. And then as far as when a company is adapting automation, maybe they're adapting a new system, do you ever feel or do you ever see any pushback maybe from the employees within the company that you're working to help with adapt something or automate something? Is there just maybe more pushback nowadays? Are you seeing maybe a trend in that area?
Well, yeah, look, my view is every single team and every single business will have a level of resistance. I just think it's human nature. So go into any changes like that knowing it's going to happen. I've usually used some sort of change management principles. There's some key things you want to make sure. There's a senior person in the business, and that's typically a director or executive who's going to sponsor the change. And that means someone who's going to really talk the talk and walk it in their actions and set the culture in the organization, because people take their leadership seriously. Well, hopefully they do. Then there's also, you want to look at people who are going to help implement that change within the organization. So, in change management terminology, this is a change champion. It's someone who actually knows the business really, really well, understands the key stakeholders or role players, and can work with them and implement that change. And as a Bitrix partner, you can do a lot with a client and help them with that change. But at the end of the day, you don't always know their business as well as they do. And if you can find someone who can actually push that or champion it, be that cheerleader, it really helps the success. The last thing where I find the biggest resistance is in change management. It's called your change targets. I know that sounds a bit harsh, maybe you're targeting, but essentially it's the people who are going to experience the change. They often work at the coalface in the business, and the change impacts their lives. Spend time with them. I mean, you need to let them understand there's improvements that are coming their individual way as well as with the business, and give them the training, help them be ready for the change. Because if you don't really get them on board, it can be a real struggle to actually implement the change successfully. Sure.
No, I mean, that's wonderful advice right there, definitely. As far as just some of, just really simple business processes that we do see, a lot of our partners implement for different companies and whatnot. We like to see, maybe like a vacation tracker where you see certain employees, they want to take this time off or they have sick leave or whatnot. And that all kind of requires data, right? As far as when you're working with potential new clients and the data that you collect and the data that they collect, is there something, are you seeing maybe a different trend in how companies are now using that data? Are they maybe being more keen on collecting data? Is there something that you're seeing in that trend overall?
So yes, I think the era we're in at the moment, there is so much data around, and it's everywhere, it's anywhere, and we generate a lot of it and we store a lot of it. And then with tools like AI, you can process a lot of that. And I think we tend to lose track of going, okay, we've got data, let's leverage it, which is not sometimes the right way to do it. You actually need to understand, well, why do you need the data in the first place? Are you trying to make some business decisions? Are you trying to take some action, course of action? And then make sure the data that you've got supports that. I mean, you covered, if you go to a client and you're asking them for data, sometimes the data sets that they're giving you as a partner to either import into Bitrix or configure the platform, there's a disconnect between that data and potentially the reports that they want on Bitrix to make those business decisions. And that's sometimes you can see a disconnect between the two. It doesn't always happen. So I think we can get distracted with just data. We need to actually say, well, why do we need it? And then, use it appropriately.
Mm-hmm. And then just kind of covering data again, when you are working with potential clients, with this data, do you now see that clients are trying to provide more, better data as we just covered, or is it still just collect as much as we can, whatever we can, or sometimes they don't even collect anything at all? Are you seeing kind of an uprise in that as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I found over the years to be quite interesting. I would have expected that it would improve, that clients or companies would have an improvement in how their data is recorded, the accuracy of it, how they maintain it. But I still run into clients when I ask them for customer data. It takes ages to get. It's in Excel spreadsheets. Half of it's wrong. And when I mean wrong, format with an email address has got to be a certain thing, else it's never going to work. And, they're giving you that data, and you sort of think, well, how do you run a business if you don't clean this up? I think there's enough tools in place and platforms in place that can help clients improve that. And certainly I try and do that with Bitrix, is that when there's data inputs into the system, I try and use things like, masks or regex or, checks on the data to make sure that what's coming in. A lot of clients like to use string fields or text fields, which you can just put anything in. I rather say to the client, standardize it on a sort of a list item drop down, and that way you get your clean data coming in from the beginning, and that's easier to manage after that. So a bit of a long answer. I think there are some clients who make some improvements in how they manage their data and how they use it. I still think, though, there's a lot that are missing it. And, obviously, I hope we can do a job with the client to improve it when we engage with them.
Yeah, I think that's another point where I want to kind of touch with is just when you are referring to our clients and how you work with them. And like you said, sometimes when you do get a new potential client, from just the get-go, you kind of already know, oh, this this company is a little disheveled. It's very disorganized. And I think this is another pain point where a lot of our partners might miss, is that if you're coming into a project where you're just one-minded thinking, I need to fix this, or I only specialize in this, you might have an actual opportunity to say, listen, you have another pain point in your company, which I can help you cover. And then in the back end of it, you can actually, say, you can refer to us, maybe if you need maintenance and this, if you actually need more help on data collection, on sorting it, on making sure everything looks neat and tidy and ready to go for maybe different integrations. So I think a lot of our partners as well need to kind of just expand on what they can do with their client, and kind of work with them to say, I can actually close not just one pain point for you here, but I can actually close a lot of different pain points. So that's just one thing I do in a lot of our different podcasts that I do. A lot of our partners always ask is, how can they get new clients, or how can they always, try to get more out of their clients? And that's where I kind of like to refer back to and say, it's always good to work with the clients that you do have. And if you do such a good job in what you specialize, and maybe take the extra 2-3 steps, you'll actually have your clients coming back to you more often. Now, just to ask this to you, Grant, as far as your clients, how do you manage your clients? How do you work with your clients, and how do you work with them in different phases of your sales funnel maybe?
Okay, so it's interesting you raised that, especially on the back of the question about data. The one thing I have changed over the years as a Bitrix partner is, originally I would actually engage with a client on almost a sequential step-by-step basis of, let's implement this, then the next step is do this, then we want to set this up, and get the information from them as we progress through that. And in some ways, Bitrix forced me to do that because it's a platform that's got so many features. To go to a new client and go, let's do a demo, and I go through everything, or let's throw all the data requests at them, it just overwhelms the client. So initially I sort of went step by step, but I have learned, certainly when it gets to actually now landing the deal or executing the implementation, is to still make those bold data requests up front. So I'll ask at the same time, say, give me all your customer information, actual information, give me all your transactional information, give me all your business reports, give me all your workflows or your business processes, even if it's not relevant directly to where we're going to implement, like the CRM or emailing or project management, because when you get that collective data, it helps you better implement the areas that you have to focus on, because you get a more holistic picture. But it also, as a partner, and again, obviously the client's prepared to share this, it gives you insight as to where their other pain points might be.
Yeah, that's a very good it's a very good point there. As far as just some of the clients that you are working with, is there any stories, maybe examples of how your automation really helped a small business or maybe a company recently that you keep in mind that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, sure. Let me just think about probably which example would be the best. So there's a client that Optima's got. They rent equipment to their customers. So on a biannual basis, and after every project that they implement with the client, they do a customer survey. And so after the project, but also sort of biannually, they do those customer surveys. Those customer surveys were done manually for a long time. So, what that meant was they had a form, Excel spreadsheet, they'd email it to the client when the project was finished, or every 6 months. Client would complete it, email it back. They'd then capture it into a central spreadsheet with scoring, and then circulate that spreadsheet around the business, which was very manual and slow. So what we did with the client was we implemented survey forms online. So we created a CRM form in Bitrix for both survey types. In fact, they've got 2 business units as well. So it was 4 forms for each of the different surveys embedded on the website. Now, all that happens is that when they want to initiate the survey request, at the end of the project, there's an automation that just kicks out an email to the client with the link to the form, and then the client goes to fill the form in. And obviously, all that form information comes straight back into Bitrix. On the biannual surveys, that would be triggered by a marketing email. So they'd set up a marketing email, send it out to the clients, and then they'd complete the form. Automation as well. Obviously, when the data comes in, acknowledgement email, thank you for submitting, and then all the information's in one place. It's linked to the customers in the CRM. And we've actually put tabs on the customer. So you can go into a customer, click on the customer survey tab, and see all the surveys they submitted and their responses. Besides that, there was also a BI Builder dashboard put up. So as the live data is coming into the platform, the dashboard is actually doing the scoring calculations at an aggregated level, as well as an individual customer level when it spreads over multiple surveys. And I mean, obviously, as partners and clients, those BI Builders reports are available to the whole company. You don't have to go and send it to someone. They can just go and look at it, and it's the latest customer satisfaction scoring.
Wow, that's actually, yeah, that's a very cool story. I mean, it's such a simple way of automating such a simple task, but yet for that business and that company, it probably is going to save them A, so much money, and B, so much time. I mean, that's just the thing. That's the thing with automation, especially with Bitrix24, that a lot of companies, a lot of companies that I talk to as well that do implement Bitrix just at the cloud level, they just see just from going from paper to digital and then from digital organization, it's day and night what it creates in your business, and the extra time and the extra effort that you used to throw away just becomes so much more optimized and much more efficient. So I'm really glad that you helped out that company. I hope it works better, and hopefully in the future, they come back to you and ask for more automation.
Well, in actual fact, that was the first round. I'm now actually updating that for them onto a new customer survey scoring system. So it's working for them, and they want to now improve it. So it's sort of version 2 that we're doing now.
That's something I want to cover as well. That's great to hear. How often, when you do implement, a successful project, let's say, how often are you actually touching base back with the clients and finding out how's it going? How can I help you? How often are you doing that?
So certainly during the implementation, and some of them can be over a period of time, and I've got some existing clients where they've pretty much just outsourced a lot of the Bitrix work to Optima on an ongoing basis. So, you can touch base with them either on a project progress meeting. So during an implementation of a project, there's one particular client where we set up 2 weekly progress meetings with the key stakeholders, as well as with the local project manager every week. He and I just sit down. So we just have those sort of progress meetings where we update things. Obviously, there's ad hoc meetings. One of the things I've tended to do with clients is things like project plans and tasks and who's going to do what, I actually put on their Bitrix account. So for me, that does 2 things. One, it gives them access to whatever I'm updating without me having to send it to them. Also, even if they're not using the project management or work groups feature, it drives them as users to use the platform, which gets them more familiar with it. So it tends to be more contained. So that's another way to do it, is to actually use the platform itself to interact with your clients. And one of the other clients, we almost implemented a limited sort of development request and support request option in a work group. So, it's a simple ticketing thing, but that's what it is. They will create a task, which is a ticket, and it's on their system. They can track it, update it. I can update it there, and it's on theirs. And that's just the interaction between them and us. It's not like them and their customers.
That's great to hear. It really is, because like you said before, we covered a lot. There are so many tools inside Bitrix24. And I think a lot of our partners also need to understand, as we kind of said in the beginning of the podcast, that you don't need to just focus on one thing and just really say, this is all I'm going to do. All the different things and all the different features inside Bitrix24 kind of lets you do whatever you need to do, and plus introduce new tools to clients. And another thing that you did say is, the more the client is actually using Bitrix24, the more they understand it, and the more they're touching it every day and seeing it every day, the better they will be with it, and the more they're going to actually come back and say, can we make this better? Can you actually try something new? Can they implement something new? That's another thing we've seen with a lot of our partners, is that once you introduce a new tool to them, they're actually going to be using it more. Maybe they're not using Bitrix24, maybe they're just using it for a simple business process. But if you tell them about the chat feature, maybe more of their company will actually open up the Bitrix24 app and actually use it for more different tools and not just for a business process. So here, I think that's a very great thing that Grant said here is we do need to introduce more of the tools that Bitrix24 has inside the system to our clients and say, listen, you can also use this and this, and on the back end, you can implement it in a way to say, listen, you can use projects and tasks and actually set them a task and say, this is when our tax for our monthly renewal of our services or something like that. Well, they'll actually use it and you'll get the benefit of it on the back end as well. So yeah, thank you for covering that, Grant.
For sure.
Yes. Another thing I do want to cover with you as someone that's really big in the optimization game, let's say, what's something that's new, that's unconventional, maybe a new trend that you're seeing just in your sphere that you haven't seen before? Well,
so I'm going to sound a bit cliched. I've got a personal interest in it, and it's the topic of the day. It's artificial intelligence. It's everywhere. In my view, this is mainstream, and it has impacted the world and business beyond a point where we can go to what it was like before. Even if we wanted to revert to that, it's not possible anymore. And I don't think a lot of people actually understand that and the implication of it. I mean, often I'll read articles or look at how people are implementing this and automating stuff with it. I think sometimes even the technology now is limited by our own imagination as to how we apply it. And you can see solutions that come up where you go, oh, well, that's amazing. But somebody just eventually they had an idea and said, okay, I'll use AI to do this. So that's helping automation in a lot of ways. I mean, you look at front end support for a lot of businesses, that's been replaced by AI chatbots. Yeah, and I mean, sometimes they can get a bit irritating because they don't fully understand the request. But in most cases, those frontline queries are quite standard and simple to answer. I mean, even Martha AI, which is Bitrix's AI chatbot, if you punch in the normal queries, like, is there a development request for this problem? Or, can I log one for this? Or, which article? I mean, I'm tending to get a bit lazy now. It's like, which help desk article tells me about this? And then they give me the link. Those answers are instant and they're accurate because the model is well trained enough. Obviously, these models have to mature some. I mean, they're not completely accurate at the moment, but that will come. I think another thing that is helping is that as people interact with AI to do automation, people themselves are getting more comfortable with interacting with the bot and how do you prompt the thing to get the best results. So, yeah, I know it's cliche, it's the topic of the day, but I think that's the biggest space that's having an impact on almost anything. And certainly process optimization and automation, it has a big impact.
No, 100%. With all the partners I speak to as well, I think AI is really the driving trend, I would say. And it's something that I did want to touch on what you said is I think people don't really understand, like it is now before and after effect, basically. And a lot of maybe the clients that you see or maybe potential clients that you do have, if they're just kind of weary about it, if they don't understand it, if they don't know it, again, I think it's a smooth way to kind of let people know that AI also exists in the business realm and it's there not to take their job, but to also help them. And a lot of these new sales products, a lot of these other software systems and whatnot, you're not just using the software. Most of the time now, you kind of need to prompt the software, you need to prompt the AI and how to use it, and you need to understand it. And I think a lot of potential clients, they kind of need to understand that there is a barrier that if you're going to kind of say, I'm not going to use AI, or our company has some sort of, stance on it, I don't know if that's really the right way to go. And down the end, I think everyone's really going to come around to the fact that we really need to understand how to prompt these things to basically use them to the best effect that we can. So yeah, I think AI is 100%, like you said. I think it's a very big trend in all service sectors. And hopefully we see that our clients are ready to adapt with it. And that's why we've kind of made Bitrix24 slowly and surely we've really integrated as much as we can of AI and not really have it been too harsh, we would say, on our users. So hopefully we will improve in that way, and hopefully our clients as well can slowly and surely get used to it with being inside of their business and not so looking at it at a negative way. So especially team members, sales team members, right? A lot of these support, like you said, when you have a front end of just support bots, you know, your support team might, a lot of people might think, oh my God, that's taken away, you know, some of my support hours, whatever it might be. But actually, you're actually getting a nice, cleaner lead out of it, and then you'll work better with the client and then get a better result on the back end. So it's really about how you look at it and how you adapt it inside your business as well. Now, Grant, just to really sum things up, on a personal level, like you've been into this business a long time, in optimization, automation, what keeps driving you every day to basically get up, to do what you do, and to enjoy what you do?
Well, yeah, look, I mean, in terms of continually improving, and I have a philosophy that, you know, if you remain stagnant, you know, whether it's personally or within a business, and you're not improving, you're going backwards. And I mean, that's not a new idea, but I really believe it's true. You know, stuff is changing around us all the time, not always for the best, but if you don't do anything, you're going to get left behind. You know, I like to use a surfing analogy because once upon a time I used to do that. Was, you know, if the waves of change come, you've got to learn to ride and take those waves, or else you're going to get pummeled. You've got to drive yourself. I think one of the things that is important to remember is what motivates you to that change. Now, for some people, it's like, oh, I just want a bigger salary package, or I want more sales and profit in my business. And I mean, if that ticks your box, okay, great, that ticks your box. In my view, you've got to understand the why. Why do you do anything personally? Why does your business do anything? And that motivates you to keep working and keep going forward. And honestly, I think it sustains it better over the medium and long term. Whereas these other things tend to be a bit more short-term motivation.
I mean, that's great to hear, and I don't think I could have said it better. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful advice there as well. Grant, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you. OptimaBSC, guys, this is a partner, has been doing a very great job. So next time you listen to our podcast, it's always a great reference to see what you can improve in your business as well. And again, Grant, thank you very much. Thank you for the job that you do. And please keep on recommending and implementing Bitrix24.
For sure, Vlad. And thank you for the time and the opportunity for this. It's been fun.
Yes, thank you. And have a wonderful day, Grant.